Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Samachei Amud Beis 65b of Meseches Kiddushin, and we are starting 5 lines down. Towards the end of the line, the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel. And we are continuing our discussion about whether one is required to have 2 witnesses present when they do Kiddushin in order for the Kiddushin to take effect, or would 1 witness suffice? So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Mirta, Rav Yitzchak the son of Shmuel the son of Mirta, Mishmei de Rav, said in the name of Rav, Hamakadesh be'ed echad, one who does Kiddushin in front of only 1 aid, 1 witness, ein choshin lekiddushav. We are not concerned for that Kiddushin. The Kiddushin does not take effect. Va'afilu shnehem modim, and even if both the couple agree and affirm that the Kiddushin took place, but it only happened in front of 1 witness, it's not a good Kiddushin. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna. Rabba bar Rav Huna says the same thing. Hamakadesh be'ed echad, one who does Kiddushin in front of 1 witness. Beidina Rabba Amri, the great Beis Din, the great court, said, Ein choshin lekiddushav. We are not concerned for the Kiddushin. Man Beidina Rabba, who is this great court that he's referring to? Rav. He's referring to Rav, and that's actually who we quoted it from before, that it would not work. That's what Rav said. V'ikadamri, and those who say, there are those who say, Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, that Rav bar Rav Huna said in the name of Rav. It wasn't Rav's court, but he said in the name of Rav, Hamakadesh be'ed echad, one who does Kiddushin with 1 witness, Beidina Rabba Amri, the great Beis Din says, Ein choshin lekiddushav. We are not concerned for the Kiddushin. And then on that, the Gemara asks, Man Beidina Rabba, who is this great Beis Din? Now you can't say the great Beis Din here is Rav, because it's Rav who's quoting the great Beis Din in this version. So it's Rebbe. The Gemara says it's Rebbe, it's Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. So this may already date back, this teaching, to Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, or it may be a teaching of Rav, different versions. But either way, they agree with the statement that was made really last week already, that a Kiddushin done in front of 1 aid is not a good Kiddushin, we're not concerned for it. So Masiv Rav Achadvai bar Ami. Rav Achadvai bar Ami asked a contradiction from a Brisa. The Brisa says, this is a fun case, Shnayim shebao mimedinas hayam. 2 men arrive from overseas, V'isha imam, and there's a woman with them. V'chavila imahem, and there's also a bundle of money. And we don't know who any of them are, and we don't know whose money it is. So we have 2 men, a woman, and a bundle of money. Zeh omer, one of the men says, Zu ishti, this woman is my wife. V'zeh avdi, and this man is my slave. V'zu chavilasi, and this bundle is my money. V'zeh omer, and then the other guy says, Zu ishti, she's my wife. V'zeh avdi, he's my servant, he's my slave. I'm not his slave, he's my slave. V'zeh chavilasi, and the money's mine. V'isha omer, and the woman says, Egu shnei avdi, I'm not their wife, they're my slaves, both of them. V'chavila shali, and the money's mine. So, we have everybody claiming everything, right? Each of the men says, the other is my slave, and the woman is my wife, and the money's mine. And the woman says, no, both the men are my slaves, and they're not her husband, and the money's mine. So what do? So basically we can't take anybody's word for anything. We don't assume that she's married to any of them, and we don't assume that anybody is anybody else's slave. But what do we do with the money? So the Brisa says Tricha Shnei Gittin. She'll need 2 Gittin from both of them. V'gova ksubasa min chavila, and she's going to collect her ksuba from the bundle. So that we have to understand this still, but it says that she needs 2 gittin, a get from each man, and she will then collect her ksuba from the money that is being debated, and the rest of the money, whatever is left, will get divided. It doesn't say that, but that's the assumption that the Gemara makes. So the Gemara says, Hey Chidami, what's the case here? If the two men have witnesses, meaning they're claiming that a Kiddushin took place, they're claiming that they're married to her. So, do they have witnesses to that marriage? So if we're talking about where they have witnesses to the marriage, then seemingly, to be consistent, we would be assuming there's not only witnesses attesting to the marriage, that claim, but there's witnesses attesting to the money also, that it's theirs. So if they have witnesses that the money is theirs, each of them brings their own witnesses. Again, witnesses to the marriage and witnesses to the money. Then could she claim that they're my slaves and the money's mine? We have witnesses. She's there. We have a contradiction in the witnesses, but one of them seemingly we'd have to accept. She's definitely not owning them as slaves. She's one of their wives, and the money's not hers, because we have witnesses that the money belongs to the men, or at least to one of them. So it can't be that there's two witnesses. It must be there's one witness. One witness is saying about each man that there's one witness saying that the first man, Reuven, we'll call him, is married to her, and that the money's his. And then we have another witness saying that she's married to him, and the money's his. And yet it says that she needs a get. So again, if there were two witnesses, and I understand why she needs a get. A Kiddushin done in front of two witnesses is a good Kiddushin. So she would need, but we don't know, I guess, which one really happened. So she would need a get from both of them, both the men. But if it was only one witness, then according to our rule that a Kiddushin doesn't take effect in front of one witness, then why are we saying she needs a get? She shouldn't need a get. It must be. We can prove from this brayso that it does work. That Kiddushin in front of one witness is effective, and that's why she needs a get. But ask the Gemara of Tizbara, does this really make sense? If it's only one witness, when a single witness is contested, is he believed? No, he's not. When we pit one witness against another witness, the power of a single witness usually is to abogeg shvua, an oath. In certain instances, monetary cases, you usually need two witnesses, but one witness does have the power to at least force the litigant to take an oath. But if that one witness is contradicted by another witness, then there's no oath. It's not required. So one witness generally is who's contradicted by another witness is worthless. We don't accept anything that he says. So plus here there's also she's contradicting the witness. So we have one witness that is claiming that she's married to this man. So first of all, there's another witness saying no, she's married to a different man. That's a contradiction to the one witness. Plus she's contradicting the one witness. So are we going to accept this one witness? Certainly not. So it can't be that we require a get for her based on the word of this one witness. So what does it mean, sricha shnei gittin? What does it mean that she needs a get from both of them? So Ella, says the Gemara, rather, limishri la'alma, in terms of permitting her to marry somebody else, dekuli amalo pligi deshari. Everybody agrees that she's allowed to marry anybody else. She's not married to any of these guys. We don't assume that she is. If one guy is claiming without witnesses, or with one witness, that he's married to her, and she denies it, so like we learned last week, she's not bound by his word. She is still allowed to marry whoever she wants. And that's true for both of these men claiming she's married to her. So in terms of Mishri la'alma, in terms of permitting her to the rest of the world, everybody will agree that she's permitted. So here, this is what it's saying when it says that she needs a get from each of them. If she wants, in order to allow her to collect her ksuba from the bundle of money, it would only happen if both of them offer her a get. In other words, we have three people, 2 men and a woman, they're all fighting over this money. Each one's claiming it's theirs. the assumption would be that we would have to divide it up, because we don't know whose it is. There is a way, though, that she could end up getting a larger portion. And that is, if both of the men who claim that they're married to her then go and offer to give her a get, then she could get her ksuba from the chavila, from the money, because then that's a greater admission that they're indeed married to her. If they voluntarily give her a get, well, along with volunteering to give her a get is volunteering to give her a ksuba. And so they're basically offering her a ksuba if they offer her a get. So if each one's offering her a ksuba, so they're both saying, you can have a ksuba from me. Well, where are we going to get? Let's get the money from the chavila that we're fighting over, from the bundle. So what would happen is we would first take out the ksuba from the bundle of money, and then the rest would get divided between the three of them. Because at this point, according to everybody, she gets the ksuba from the bundle. According to her, she gets the whole thing. According to each of the men, she gets the ksuba portion. So everybody agrees she gets the ksuba, so at least that amount. So she'll take the ksuba from the bundle of money, and then the rest will get divided. The rest they're all fighting over still. The rest will get divided. So when it said she needs a get from both of them, what it meant was, in order for her to be able to take the ksuba from the... What it actually said was, she needs two gets, and she collects the ksuba. So what it was saying was, in order for her to have the right to the ksuba from the bundle, it would need to be that both of them offered her a get voluntarily. If one had offered a get but not the other, so that guy would be admitting that she has a ksuba from the bundle, but the other guy wasn't, so that doesn't give her rights to it yet. So in order for her to get the rights to the ksuba, at least the entire thing, she would need both of the men to offer her a get, which really means they're also offering her a ksuba from the bundle. And one more important detail, the Gemara says, Rabbi Meir, in order to say this, we have to suggest this price is going according to the opinion of Rabbi Meir, Da'amar metaltali mishtabdi liksuba, who says that metaltalin, movable objects, are mishtabdi, they're mishubad, they have a lien they are leaned against the ksuba. In other words, usually, when it comes to many situations, we say that for ksuba, for loans and things, that metaltalin, there's no lien on metaltalin, on movable objects. Only land, there's only a lien on land. Because that you can know about, if it gets sold, you'll know where it gets sold. Movable objects, metaltalin, you can't follow it, there's no assumption of a lien on that. However, Rabbi Meir says no. Rabbi Meir says even on the metaltalin there's a lien, and metaltalin are meshubad to a ksuba, which means that you could collect, she has a right to collect her ksuba from metaltalin. And here, money is metaltalin, money is movable objects, so according to the other opinions who disagree with Rabbi Meir, she's not allowed to collect her ksuba from cash. She has to get it, or at least he has to have property. If he wants to give cash instead, he could, but she can't demand cash for her ksuba. And she can't demand that, you pay it from this bundle. However, according to Rabbi Meir, she could. So therefore, once she has the right to the ksuba, she has the right to collect it from the bundle, according to Rabbi Meir. Okay, but there's no proof from here as to whether, anything regarding the ability to do Kiddushin in front of one witness. So the Gemara says, "My have Allah." So what's our conclusion regarding this matter? Does Kiddushin work in front of one witness? So Rav Kahana Amar Ein Choshin LeKiddushav. Rav Kahana says, no, we are not concerned for the Kiddushin if it's done in front of one witness. Rav Papa Amar Choshin LeKiddushav. Rav Papa says, we are choshish, we are concerned for ksuba that's done in front of one witness. So Amar le Rav Ashi le Rav Kahana. So Rav Ashi said to Rav Kahana is the one who said it doesn't work. He said, my daitich. What's your thought process here? Dialafta davar mi mamon. I assume he says you're learning a gezerah shava davar from mamon, from monetary matters. Because it says with regards to monetary matters, al pishnayim edim yakum davar, that on the word of two witnesses a matter is upheld. So it says the word davar, a matter, in the context of monetary matters requiring two witnesses, and by marriage it says the words ervas davar, the matters of erva, of sexuality. So it says the word davar also by marriage, and so and so we make a gezerah shava davar mimam, when we learn just like by witnesses, by money, it says the word davar, and we require two witnesses. So we also say the same thing when it comes to marriage, marital matters, and so for a marriage to take effect, for a Kiddushin to take effect, you need two witnesses. He says that must be where you're coming from. But I have a question, he says. We have a rule when it comes to monetary matters. It's true, in general, you need two witnesses, but the admission of a litigant is like 100 witnesses. If usually, it's true, usually you would need witnesses to say that Ruvain owes Shimon, or stole from Shimon, or whatever it might be, in order to obligate him to pay. But if he admits to it, then it's as good as 100 witnesses. That's the rule. So if that's true when it comes to monetary matters, we should say the same thing when it comes to marriage, that the admission of the litigant is like 100 witnesses. And if the couple admits and says that indeed we are married, so that should be as good as 100 witnesses. We shouldn't need, if we're learning it from monetary matters, it should follow the same rules as monetary matters. And you shouldn't need witnesses in a case where they admit to it. So Amarle, so Rav Kahana responded, Hasam lo kachayev lachrini. No, over there, when it comes to monetary matters, it's not to the detriment of anybody else. Your admission that you owe money affects you. It could indirectly affect other people, but it's not changing the halacha for anybody else. It's obligating you to pay. It doesn't obligate anybody else. It doesn't make a halachic change for anybody else. But here, when they get married, so they are obligating, they're affecting other people. How are they affecting other people? Because now that they are married, so their relatives are not allowed to marry either of these people. So Ruvain, a man gets married to Sarah. So now, we have no witnesses. It's just based on their word. So says the Gemara, that affects other people. Ruvain, by marrying Sarah, now he can't marry Sarah's sister. Sarah's sister can't marry him, and etc. All the relatives that become forbidden as a result. So you're changing the halachic status of other people. So that is already a step above. That you can't prove just because by monetary matters, we say that an admission is like 100 witnesses. That's because it's only affecting me. It's obligating me to pay. It doesn't obligate anybody else or change their halachic status in any way. But you can't prove from there that should be true for marriage also, which does impact other people in terms of their halachic status. Fine. Says the Gemara, Mar Zutra v'Rav Ada Saba b'nei d'Rav Mari bar Isser. Mar Zutra and Rav Ada Saba, who were the children of Rav Mari, the son of Isser, Polig nefsayu b'hadei adadi. They were dividing up their possessions. I guess it was an inheritance, and they were dividing it up. Asul kamei Rav Ashi, they came to Rav Ashi, and Amrle, they said, we know the Torah says, Apishnei Edim, Amar Achmana. The Torah, the merciful one, says, God says, that it should be by the word of two witnesses. And they wanted to know, is the reason why we require two witnesses in monetary matters, because in case somebody wants to walk back their renege on their commitment or their claims, they can't change it. And therefore he says, Va'anam lo hadri, and we're not going to. Meaning, maybe the reason why we require two witnesses by monetary matters is so that it's not just reneges, nobody changes the story, right? If they're dividing up their possessions, their inheritance, so So they divide up evenly. And then one of the brothers comes and says, no, it wasn't even. Right? So you took more. I didn't get anything. So is that the reason why we need two witnesses? To make sure that doesn't happen? O Dilma, or maybe lo mekaima milsa ela b'sadi. Maybe it's the idea that it just doesn't take effect unless there's witnesses there. Like we're talking about by Kiddushin, we're suggesting that by Kiddushin, the witnesses aren't there simply so that nobody lies. Because if that was true, then as long as we have one witness, we have an admission, maybe that would suffice. But in order for it to even take effect, we need two witnesses. So they were asking, what about monetary matters? Is it the same thing? Is the Torah's requirement for two witnesses because it doesn't take effect? Whatever monetary transaction they go through, does it not take effect unless there's two witnesses? Or is it just there as an insurance to make sure nobody lies in the future? We can always bring witnesses back to prove what happened. And therefore, if we don't think anybody's going to lie, then we don't really need two witnesses. So he said, this is the question that they asked Rav Ashi. Amar lahu, he said to them, Lo ivru sadi ela l'shakri. Witnesses were only created for liars. His answer was, at least when it comes to monetary matters, it's just an insurance to have witnesses. The transaction can take effect without witnesses. The division of inheritance can take effect without witnesses. The witnesses that the Torah says you need is, in order to prove something, you need two witnesses. And so it's maybe recommended in general to get witnesses for transactions, but it's not required. It can still take effect without them. And says the Gemara, fine. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye. Abaye said, another case of witnesses. So we talked about marriage, arayos. There we say the witnesses are required for a marriage to take place, for the Kiddushin to take place. We talked about money. We say when it comes to monetary matters, you don't really need witnesses. They're just there to ensure that nobody lies. But it can take effect, a transaction can take effect without witnesses. Amar Abaye, Abaye says, Amar lo eid echad. If one witness comes to a person and says, Achalta chelev, you ate chelev. Chelev is forbidden fats. If you ate chelev by accident, you have to bring a carbon chatas, a sin offering. V'hala shosek. And the other guy's silent. He doesn't disagree. Naaman, the witness is believed, and you're allowed to bring a carbon. You have to bring a carbon, and we're in the Beis Hamikdash. They'll accept that carbon. V'tanatuna, and the truth is, it was taught in a Mishnah where it says, Amar lo eid echad. If one witness comes and says, Achalta chelev, you ate chelev, v'hala omer lo achalti, and the guy says, no, I didn't, pater, he's exempt from bringing a carbon. But we can deduce, says the Gemara, Taima da'amar lo. The reason is because he denied it. He said, no, ha'ishtik meheiman, but had he been silent and not disagreed, the witness would be believed. So that was what Abaye said. If one witness comes and says, you ate chelev, you ate forbidden fats, and he's silent, so then we accept that testimony, and he has to bring a carbon. And Abaye's rule is inferred, is implied in this Mishnah. The Amar Abaye, and Abaye also said, Amar lo eid echad nitmu tarasecha. If a witness said your tyros, your food which you're trying to keep pure, became impure. If it was, let's say, something that was holy, like truma, so then that would render it unfit to eat by anybody. It would have to be burned. So if he says your tyros became tameh, your pure food became tameh, became impure, v'ala shosek, and the guy is silent, he doesn't disagree, so Naaman, so then the one witness is believed. And says the Gemara B'Tanatuna, and we learned this also in a Mishnah, where it says, Eid echad omer nitmu, if one witness says your tyros, your food became impure, v'ala omer lo nitmu, and the other guy says, no it didn't, he denies it, pater, he's exempt, or mutter, maybe you could read it somehow. It's permitted still to be, tahor, it's pure. One witness claiming it became tamei is not enough if the owner denies it. But again, taima da'amar lo. The reason is because he denied it. Ha'ishtik, had he been silent, so then mehiman, then the one witness would be believed. So we have cases here where one witness is believed. These seem to relate to the general rule that eirecha ne'eman b'yisurin. One witness is believed when it comes to permitted and forbidden things. Now what's novel here is that he's even obligating a carbon in the case of the chelev. As long as the owner does not disagree, then the owner becomes obligating a carbon. The Beis HaMikdash will accept that carbon based on this one witness. And same thing for tyros, for food that becomes tamei, and specifically the significance is probably and mostly in a case where it was kadshin, it was something holy, and now we're saying it's tamei, that would require it to be destroyed. And we will accept the word of this one witness with the silence of the owner. Again, if the owner would deny it, so then we will not accept the word of the one witness. Okay, the Gemara is going to continue with other situations where one witness is or is not believed, and we'll, Yimei Hashem, continue that next time.